Hi and welcome to my channel. I'm Peggy. We are talking to mutable signs, so that's Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, and Pisces. All right, reviewing our energy here. Spirit really wants you to reconnect with your soul. Okay, I'm hearing here that sometimes when we're caught up in influence and chaotic energies, we're not communicating with our soul or spirit. You know, we're kind of driving from a place of ego. So that might be a challenge that you are kind of in right now. So just keep that in mind as we go through this reading. We might come back to that. All right, I see here a broken bridge, unsuccessful outcome to a problem. So obviously there has been a situation here that you want to revisit, but this is looking like there's something that's not repairable. Okay, so moving on is probably very important at this time. Okay, so focusing on yourself, your healing. Okay, connecting with spiritual love, spiritual connection, and that comes from clarity, a loving high frequency. Sometimes when we're overwhelmed with chaos and influence, we're low vibration. So we really need to learn to see what is low vibration in ourselves and high vibration, because you can be both at the same time, right? But it's eliminating the low vibrational energies, that are driving our lives and in the situations that we're facing. Okay, slowly but surely getting ahead, right? So you have tortoise energy here. So this is kind of giving me the story of the rabbit and the tortoise, the race, right? You might have been a rabbit just bumping around, opportunity, just chasing, but thinking that your hard work, devotion, and whatnot is the tortoise. Okay, see, you're both at the same time. So your commitment, you checked all these boxes, so that makes you the tortoise, but yet you're acting like the rabbit. So this is coming back to the first card, is connecting to your soul, not your ego. I like that. Okay. So, okay. We have here new home, new attitude, right? So we do need to clear up what energies we have been tolerating, accepting, and stuck in. Okay. This card also is confirmed with what a difference a day makes, right? We can change our life and our world and our mind in a minute, a day, a moment. Okay. So let's dig a little deeper here, because this is about you. Okay, so we're not looking at anybody else, we're looking at you. So we're gonna tap into what is it that we need to look at in ourselves here. Your creativity, death, I just can't see, your psychic development, and unlimited possibilities, right? So sometimes we get in our head and think that we are stuck, there's no hope, right? But God wants you to remember that you are infinite potential, but that takes choice, creativity, work, effort, some of the boxes you like to check, right? But don't be focusing on the loss. I guess that's what I'm hearing here, is don't focus on what you've lost, and instead opportunity to learn. Okay, so that's what creative energy comes in. So I see I have all this pain and suffering, but the most creative people are coming out of that energy, right? So utilize that energy to rebuild, restore. When I say rebuild, recreate yourself, because you need to let go of stuff with the death card here. You need to let go of people influence. You need to be responsible and accountable for yourself and your choices, because that might be why this bridge card is out that's broken and not repairable, right? So maybe you had some influence in your life, but you can't blame these people or entities or spirits or whatnot for influencing you, because you are ultimately the alchemist. You are the creator of your life, and that comes down to your choices. So if you had all this information and you're like, I'm choosing this, that is your responsibility. That is a gift to yourself, whether it's a dark gift or not. Okay. All right. When it comes to psychic development, because some of you might be seeking that or wanting that or craving that, that comes with clarity. So if you are in chaotic energy, being influenced by chaotic energy, you are not going to be closer to God. You're not going to be closer to spirit, the universe. So you really need to clean up where your ego has steered you off. Okay? Psychic abilities, everybody has the instrument. Okay? It's all about being a clear vessel, and that means clearing the energies, clearing your heart, clearing your thoughts and your beliefs, right? Your patterns, your loops, your I don't know, some of us, we might have addictions or some patterns that we need to reflect upon. Survival patterns, right? We might be addicted to our survival patterns. Those might have served in our childhood or whatever the time of trauma, but we have to reflect, is that still serving me? Do I still believe that? Is that still part of how I want to reflect and move forward with myself and others? Okay, so we need to ask ourselves some good questions. What else do I want to use here on this deck? All right, what other parts of ourselves do we need to reflect upon here? Yep. All right, mentor. Passing on wisdom, refining. All right, so some of us might be addicted to the idea of being a mentor, but in order to be a mentor, you need to be the student first. You need to learn, you need to grow, you need to change, and therefore you then have the learned wisdom that you can share and offer. You can't take everybody else's wisdom and just repeat. You can share a meme real easy, but it doesn't mean you know it, lived it, experienced it, and can teach on the cellular level of the value of the message. Okay. Addict. So obviously we have some addictions here that have influenced our life, our patterns, our present energies and situations. So you need to really reflect on what are you reliant on and why. Taking responsibility and control of yourself. If you're finding yourself, you're always trying to control everything, it's because you don't have control of this. And that is that chaotic energy that we were talking about from the very beginning here. Okay. And God. Okay. Okay. Benevolence and compassion. Recognizing the internal force within yourself and others, right? So sometimes when we get caught up in ego, we cross the line of thinking we are God. But you are God, but you're not God, right? So that is a tough pill to swallow, depending on what frequency you're on and what mindset you're on. So if you're low vibration, low frequency, and you're like, I'm God, you can be very destructive God, right? And if you're stepping into your love and your higher vibration, higher frequency, you understand you are God, and you're bringing God to earth, God to others by blessing, So where does God sit within you? And where are you the hands of God? Okay, so that might help a little bit for somebody. I wonder, let's see, what should we close with? This one. This one. Right. Closing message for our mutable signs. Okay. Mirror, right? Our relationships mirror our behavior, our involvement, our role, right? So God wants you to be a mirror of beauty, empowerment, love, self-love. Okay? So maybe reflect upon why this bridge is burned. Okay? You're going to see a lot of maybe things you don't like about yourself and things that need to shift and change. But, you know, let's not blame no one's attacking you. But sometimes we were raised ways. Sometimes we have traumas and we move ways. We pick up survival skills. We pick up a lot of skills, and maybe a lot of these skills are dark, manipulative, and not serving you anymore. Okay, and what can you learn from those things? And those are the things that's going to make you a mentor, because you're going to overcome those challenges and you're going to be that teacher. Okay, so all of this chaotic and things we're talking about right now in this moment isn't an attack on you, but this is all the fuel for you to achieve and be who it is you want to be, right? Honesty, scales, revelations, justice, right? So this is being honest with yourself, honest with your story, and honest with what you want your story to be. Because if you continue with what you're doing, you're just going to have more of the same. You're going to be on repeat. You're going to be a loop. You're going to be a pattern, right? So justice in this situation would be overcoming, seeing, conquering yourself, conquering the ego, finding the truth in your lower vibrations and your higher vibrations. And where do you keep doing this ebb and dance? Because I don't believe everyone is dark and evil. I believe everyone has the capacity to raise their vibration, raise their frequency, be responsible and accountable for themselves, their life, their involvement, and their roles in people's lives, right? You don't just get to flutter through life, I'm God, everything's owed to me. That's a very crappy God, and I would not want that in myself, right? Balance, power, warrior. So finding balance in yourself in these energies, you know, and finding your power is overcoming influence and being responsible and accountable for your choice. And that is the healing warrior. Okay, I wish you well on your journey. Till next time.